Order. All rise.
Now, this is case number 223 on the calendar in the matter of Laverty versus Burroughs. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Laverty, it is your claim, sir, that the defendant filed false charges against you.
Yes.
False charges in a road rage type incident.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Burroughs says that the charges he filed were, in fact, true and is counterclaiming for damages that he alleges were caused when you broke or cracked his windshield during this incident. What time of the day did this incident start?
About 12:30.
On what date?
November 20th, 2001.
And what kind of vehicle were you driving, Mr. Laverty?
A 97 Dodge Ram truck.
And you, sir?
A 98 Toyota Tacoma pickup truck.
Where were you going, Mr. Laverty?
I was on my way to the gym.
And you?
On my way to work.
When did you first notice the plaintiff?
A little past the 101-170 interchange.
And where were you in relation to the plaintiff?
I was in the left lane.
Because you were the complainant in this case, right?
Originally in the criminal complaint, yes.
Go ahead.
I was in the left lane of the 101 freeway southbound.
You were in the passing lane.
Correct.
And where was Mr. Laverty?
He came up behind me in the same lane.
So he wanted you to move over so that...
He was flashing his high beams and he was at a pretty high rate of speed.
So he wanted you to move over?
I attempted to oblige.
What do you mean you attempted to oblige?
I turned on my right signal and began to move over into the number 2 lane, at which point he accelerated around me, honking his horn, and pulled back into the number 1 lane of traffic.
Okay, what happened next?
He locked his brakes up in a big cloud of smoke until we were all stopped. Pretty much all the other cars, the freeway came to a stop.
You were able to stop?
I was able to stop and not hit him. As soon as he passed me and pulled back in the lane, I realized I better slow down, so I began slowing down. He was traveling faster than me and had a much heavier vehicle, so he was quite a bit distance up the road past me.
And everybody else was able to stop too?
Well, at least the 1, 2, and 3 lanes, everybody pretty much stopped, and we kind of looked at each other like, what do we do? At that point, I saw the reverse lights come on in the pickup truck, and he started reversing, which made me pretty nervous. I got eye contact with the cars in the other lane, and I was able to pull off to the shoulder without too much trouble.
What happened next?
He did the same. He pulled over to the far right emergency lane.
Okay. Go ahead.
But quite a ways up, at which point he started reversing up the right emergency shoulder. At that point, I realized that this was not going to dissipate, so I called the CHP.
Okay. And then what happened?
He started getting closer to my vehicle, at which point...
Try looking at me all the time.
Okay. He started getting closer to my vehicle, at which point I saw the brake lights come on. I pulled back into traffic, at which point I was talking to the 911 operator, and I proceeded southbound on the 101, and he finally caught up to me, at which point I really couldn't see him. I could feel the energy, and I heard a pretty loud thud against the side of my truck. He then sped off, and I kind of lost sight of him for a little while, and then when I get off at the exit at Cahuenga, he's there. And I guess the 911 operator said, "Can you see the license plate number?" I said yes. I blurted the license plate number to the operator, at which point Mr. Laverty, got out of his truck with a cat's paw nail prying tool, which I reported to the 911 operator, and then I sped away and pulled back onto the freeway, at which point I was talking to the 911 operator, who said they transferred me to the LAPD at that point, and they told me to go to the Wilcox Hollywood Police Department to fill out the report.
And that's what happened?
Yes. As I was leaving the crossing Cahuenga, I was driving away, and he threw a metal object. I don't know what the metal object was, and I went back to look to see if I could find it, and it was not there. A small silver lug nut or socket, which hit the windshield and cracked it.
How come you left that out? How come you left it out of your narrative, Mr. Burroughs? It's sort of interesting that that's formed the basis, really, of your complaint against him, and you told me the whole story. You left that out of the narrative.
Well,
that's interesting.
Well, okay.
Just a minute. All right, Mr. Laverty, now I want you to tell me your version of the events, please.
All right. I was traveling southbound on the 170 freeway where the 101 interchange is. There was a problem at the Vineland exit. Mr. Burroughs was in that traffic jam. Our lanes on the 170 were completely free. I was doing about 65, 70 miles an hour.
What do you mean, your lanes? You mean the left lane, the passing lane?
Yeah, there's two lanes on the 170 that merge with the 101. I was in the fast lane. To the left of me was a carpool lane. To the right, the slow lane. He crossed the double white lines from a dead stop, crossed over the slow lane, went into the fast lane directly in front of me. I had to slam on my brakes to avoid hitting him. As I'm slamming on my brakes, he starts punching his brake pedal, giving me the bird, yelling in his rearview mirror.
You don't hear him yelling, you just see something, right?
No, I hear him.
How could you hear
His
him?
window's open. Well, I guess
How
not
could
hear
you?
him, but he's looking in the
Mr.
rearview.
Laverty, I've been around probably longer than you have, and there's a certain common sense. If you're driving 65 miles an hour and somebody is in front of you, you don't hear them if they're yelling at you in their rearview mirror. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay.
I didn't hear him.
You didn't hear him.
I saw him
You
yelling.
saw him mouthing.
That's what I was.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Anyhow, I tried passing to the right. He cut me off, still hitting his brakes. I tried passing to the left. He sprayed windshield wiper fluid on my car.
How did that happen?
I guess he hit his windshield wiper dearly.
As he was passing you?
No. He's cutting me off to the left. I'm behind him again.
Right.
Then he sprayed the windshield wiper fluid on me.
Maybe his windshield was dirty. Or maybe it was cracked. Who knows? Go ahead.
He's a giggler.
Right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Anyhow, I tried to pass to the right. He threw batteries, or what looked to be batteries, out of his car window at my car. I pulled away from him. He pulled over behind me. I came to a stop. He pulled back into traffic.
Now, you were going to the gym.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your gym?
On Cole Street.
Cole Street.
It's
And what exit do you get off to go to the
Cahuenga.
gym? Cahuenga.
Yeah.
And where do you work?
I work at the Film Institute.
And what exit do you get off at?
I get off at the Vineland, the Argyle, Argyle.
Argyle.
It's the one right past Cahuenga.
But you got off at Cahuenga.
That's correct.
Don't tell me because anything. You actually followed him off
That's
the
correct.
exit.
Can I explain?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't know how his windshield got broken. Crowbar, lug nut, a pair of stockings, a pair of underpants. I don't know what broke his windshield.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Laverty says he had phony assault charges filed against him by Shannon Burroughs. Shannon says Scott is a maniac.
Go ahead.
I turned right at the end of the off-ramp. He appeared out of nowhere, just like a bat out of... Anyway, he just appeared real quick. I saw him in my rearview mirror, revving up to me, hitting his brake, revving up, hitting his brake, like he's going to hit me. So I get to the end of the off-ramp, I turn right, about 20 yards, I pull over, he pulls behind me, then does a U-turn, gets right back on the freeway. That is the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Not the lies, just the story.
Mm-hmm. And after the trial, you were found not guilty.
Of all the counts.
I would like to see what you have of the police report, please.
I have a 911 tape as evidence.
Oh, I'd like to hear the 911 tape.
I'm sure you will.
What?
The actual... Sorry. I won't do it again.
Berg, would you take the 911 tape, please, and bring it up here? Because I can never hear from over there. I assume that that's keyed up to the right place?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear it.
I couldn't smoke. What's your name? My name is sheindlin, B-U-R-O-U-G-H-S. Okay, we'll go to broadcast information, okay? Should I try to get it put in here? No, it might be 2 stages. A little more on the broadcast, so... Don't worry about it. Okay? I've got 5 L-8. Okay. And, does it bother you? Yeah, just do a quick part of the car. So I threw several objects at my car, pulled in front of me, slamming on his brakes. I did nothing to provoke him. And
what's the address?
It's Hollywood, I would say Vine and Yucca.
On the street, sir?
Yeah, and he's damaged my vehicle, so I need to follow this up.
Okay, sir, did he throw these objects at you on the freeway?
Oh, it's on the freeway and on the surface street.
So he started on the freeway throwing stuff at you?
Oh, that's right, and he cracked my windshield.
Okay, how long ago did he tell me? Of course, it's probably about 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes ago. I had to literally go through a red light and go around a big U-turn because this guy was throwing crowbars, or what appeared to be a crowbar at my truck, and broke my windshield.
Okay, did you want to make a report over the phone?
What do you think I should do? I mean, I need to recoup my loss here because I know for a fact that this windshield is about $500.
Mr. Burrows, you told the police what was happening. You asked the police whether you should follow Mr. Laverty and get his plate number. They tell you not to do that. You decide to do it anyway. So clearly you felt as if you were not in any danger because you did follow him off the freeway. You got off at his exit, came up against him quickly, and while you originally told me that what cracked your windshield was a small lug nut, perhaps you couldn't see it, but a small lug nut, you clearly told the police that what broke your windshield was a crowbar that he had thrown at your car.
That's right.
Which is probably why the case was dismissed against Mr. Lafferty, because your testimony was so inconsistent. You say in your answer, Mr. Burrows, that he's lucky he got off on a technicality. That's not a technicality. You're the only witness to this event. And when the only witness to this event gives false or inconsistent statements in order to buttress their version of the events, the person who has to decide the case, in that case a criminal case, says, I can't believe him. I can't convict somebody beyond a reasonable doubt with all this inconsistent testimony. Go ahead.
When I had blurted out that it was the crowbar, I was on the 911 call. I was full of adrenaline, and the only thing I had originally seen in his hand was the cat's paw, which is a small crowbar. But when my blood pressure came down a little bit and I thought about it, I remember seeing a small silver object coming at my truck. That's when I heard the impact. So you're right. I was under duress, and I did say crowbar because that's the only thing I had seen at the time.
You weren't under duress, sir. You both of you guys driving around in your pickups had a little bit too much adrenaline flowing that day. You, Mr. Laverty, were probably going a little too fast.
I was doing about 65. I was going with the flow of traffic.
Oh. And Mr. Burrows, I don't know, maybe he didn't like the fact that your truck was bigger than his. I have no idea what it was.
I'm sorry, but
I have no idea what it was, Mr. Lafferty, but I want to ask you this question. First of all, I'm dismissing his counterclaim. He's got a counterclaim for his broken windshield. I don't know how his windshield got broken. Crowbar, lug nut, a pair of stockings, a pair of underpants. I don't know what broke his windshield. Clearly, I cannot make a determination that it was anything that came out of your hand or out of your truck. You have a complaint against him. Your complaint is one for really having you falsely arrested. And what I want, you look like a relatively reasonable person. Is there anything that you could have done that day to prevent any interaction with Mr. Burrows?
No, I tried. I pulled over to let him pass. I got off on my exit. After he had passed, he was behind me. I did everything I could. The crack on that windshield is a little tiny line. The original Polaroids were the property of the city attorney's office. They handed them to the jury. You literally couldn't see the crack. The picture of the crack in the report you have right there is blown up about 4 or 5 times. Do you think if I threw this at his windshield?
That is not
We're not done. We're not. It's not you.
Oh, okay.
Or even a lug nut that maybe weighs 4 or 5 ounces. There would be an impact point. I threw nothing at his windshield.
Let me tell you something. There is no question in my mind that he acted inappropriately that day. I just wanted to know, from your perspective, was there anything that you could have done? Let's say you were shy, timid, little old lady driving around in a station wagon instead of a big guy driving around in a pickup truck.
All right.
With somebody else in the left lane, they're in the left lane, jockeying for position.
All right.
Is there anything that you think that that little old lady could have done to get away from him so that this whole thing wouldn't have happened?
She probably would have had a heart attack.
Mr. Laverty, what I find most persuasive about your arguments are, quite frankly, is you got off at your exit and he didn't. You got off at your exit to go to your gym, to take care of the rest of your business, what you were going to do, and this gentleman here did absolutely nothing but continue the provocation. And quite frankly, I cannot, in my mind's eye, see the 101 freeway, is that what they're talking about here? The 101 freeway, all 3 lanes coming to a complete stop and everybody looking at each other. What do we do now?
They were talking about a pile of
Just a second.
smoke. It was a cloud of
I know
smoke.
that-
Anti-lock brakes. My
just a
brakes
second.
don't skid.
Just a
My
second.
wheels don't.
So not true.
Just a second. I cannot imagine, unless every news channel around would have a picture of that, the lanes of traffic on the 101 coming to a complete stop because of some guys playing around in their
And
trucks.
then I'm going to go backwards with 70-mile-an-hour people coming at me.
Exactly
All right.
the point
Okay.
why I called 911, because it was obviously someone out of control.
You were.
No, I think,
Oh, I was
Mr.
out of
Mr.
control
Burrows,
because I couldn't
Mr.
get out
Burrows.
Way out of control.
Mr. Burrows, I think that from your perspective, you thought that he was driving inappropriately.
I just wanted to get out of his way.
No.
You hopped in my way.
That's just not true.
It is true.
It's just not
Mr.
true.
Laverty,
I mean, you're saying
you
that I
just
was
lost
in
your
stop
case.
traffic?
I want to tell you something. You just lost your case. You want to know why you lost your case?
How?
Because you have a bad temper. You can't even be quiet when I tell you to be quiet. And you keep saying, I'm sorry. That doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it. You have to be able to control your temper under all circumstances.
Why is
He
he
didn't do the
interrupting
right thing. If he's got a broken windshield, he's going to take care of it himself. Now,
Which I did.
which you did, and he's not going to.
I guess
He's not
he's
going
not
to
gonna
pay.
have to pay for it.
Oh, he sure is not going to have to pay you for it. But I certainly am not going to issue a judgment in your favor, Mr. Laverty. I think that you both probably acted a little inappropriately that day, and I think that if you had it to do all over again, perhaps you know that you lost a great deal of time defending these charges. He lost a great deal of time being involved with this. Plus, do you work?
Yes, full time.
What kind of work do you do?
I do technical direction.
Full time. And you?
I do voiceover work.
Okay. So you both work. You don't work full time. That I know. You work part time when the
You
jobs
don't know
come
yet.
up.
I haven't said whether I do or not. So how would you know that?
If you're doing voiceover work, that usually doesn't mean that it's a 9 to 5
I
job,
know.
Monday through Friday.
I'm still trying to figure out why he interrupted me and I get yelled at.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry.
I am.
Very
I don't
easy.
understand it.
Very easy. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step. All rise. Now, this is case number 184 on the calendar in the matter of Brooks versus Stout.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Brooks, these are your 2 sons? Mm-hmm. And you're here only because they're minors.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't present during this incident. Is that right?
No.
Why don't you have a seat? And this is your son?
Yes.
And you're here because he's a minor?
Correct.
And you weren't there during the course of this incident,
Correct.
even though if I find in the plaintiff's favor, you're going to have to pay the judgment. But you weren't there. So why don't you have a seat?
Thank you.
Now I have before me the idiots. So you're in one car and you're in another car.
No. I stayed on the side of the road.
Tell me what happened, Justin.
We was driving around the square.
Listen to me. How old are you?
16.
Do you go to school?
Yes, I do.
You were driving around.
We were driving around the loop, and we was at a stop sign, and a truck...
You were at a stop sign.
Yes. And a truck was in front of me, and a truck was behind me, and they blocked me, and I couldn't move. And, like, 6 or 7 girls came up kicking out my car, and and I couldn't move or anything. And then all of a sudden I see Tyson running up to my car, and
How many people were in your car?
it was me, Dustin, and my ex-girlfriend.
Now, did you know these people in the trucks that were blocking you?
No, I don't.
Where had you been that evening?
I was at my girlfriend's house because that was her birthday.
So did she have a party?
No, it was just,
You were
we,
just.
yes. I guess.
Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't actually a party. It was just hanging out at her house, and we decided to go cruising, so we went up cruising.
What's cruising?
Well, cruising the loop, like driving around listening
Cruising
to
the
music.
what?
Loop.
Cruising the loop.
Yeah.
What is your version of having fun?
Listen to music and talking to people on the square. That's when that accident happened.
What accident?
That when we got pretty much jumped.
So far, what you've told me is a bunch of girls came up to your car and started to kick the car.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Let's pick it up from there.
Well, he kicked out the window.
But I thought the girls were kicking the car.
Well, they were, and then he ran up to the car, kicked the window out, and then...
Which window?
It was the passenger right window.
Pretty high kick.
Yeah.
You kicked the window out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, and then what happened?
And then Dustin was getting out of the car to run, and then Tyson cut his arm.
How did Tyson cut his arm?
I didn't see it because I was.
You didn't see it.
I was driving, so.
You didn't see it. Is that right?
That's right.
So then we go to Dustin.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you twins?
Yes, ma'am.
You always dress alike?
No, ma'am.
Did you do that especially for me today?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you thought it would
Yes, ma'am.
confuse me?
No, ma'am.
You're Dustin.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened to you.
When I was getting out,
What were you getting out for?
to run, because there were so many kids around, I ain't sticking around.
Just a minute. How many kids were around?
Probably 15.
What were they doing around your car?
Actually, I don't know. They don't like me.
Dustin, something tells me something happened before that, Dustin.
Actually, there was nothing happened. They don't like us because in the past there was the girls.
Who's we?
Me and Justin. The girls that they was going out with their boyfriends and everything, and they didn't like us. And
I want you to, at all times when you're testifying, I want you to look in my eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
So the girls didn't like you because they were going out with their boyfriends and blah, 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 blah. I didn't get anything after that. That made sense.
Because we get in fights with them because they don't like us, okay? So
you get in fights with the girls or the boys?
The boys. And so the women hates us for that.
So the girls hate you?
Yes.
Why do you get in fights with the boys, Dustin?
Because I don't know how to read and they pick on me and I ain't taking nobody's crap. It's that's the reason.
And so, because of that, you think that these people don't like you. You don't say anything to them.
No.
You never start up with them.
No.
Does your brother know how to read?
No.
Is there any reason?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
What do you mean you don't know? Do you go for special tutoring?
Yes.
For how long?
For how long? Since we was in kindergarten?
Do you go to school every day?
Yes, ma'am.
Every day?
Not every day, no.
Dustin, don't throw the bull at me. Because if you can drive a car, I assume you have a license, you had to take a test. You had to take, as part of the test, a written test.
We didn't take a written test, ma'am.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
How come?
Because we don't know how to read.
So they allowed you to drive a car without knowing how to read. Stop, go, hazard ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
What state is that?
It's Iowa.
I'm staying out of there. How often do you go to school? Once a week, maybe?
No, ma'am.
The reason why we go probably once a week is because we don't get taught nothing, because they didn't teach us timetables or multiplication tables or anything like that.
So now you stay home and cruise.
No, I don't cruise anymore.
Mm-hmm. So tell me what happened, Dustin, after you were going to get out of the car and run.
Well, I put my left arm up on...
Watch, right here.
I put my left arm up on the door, and I was looking down to push myself up out of the car, and Tyson come up and cut my arm, and I look at him, I see the knife in his hand, and he took off running with everybody else took off running, and Justin tells me to get back in the car, sit down. By then, the truck was in front of us, was gone. We took off, went to the hospital.
You went to the hospital?
I got 5 stitches, and there's pictures and stuff like that my mom has.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
One of my friends told me because he was going out with one of the girls at the time that they liked. They threatened to kill his baby before.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-olds Justin and Dustin Brooks claim 17-year-old Tyson Stout attacked them with a knife. Tyson says the twins threatened to kill his friend's baby.
Now, were you charged with assault?
No, ma'am.
What were you charged with?
Burglary in the 2nd degree.
Burglary.
Forcing entry into an occupied structure.
Tyson, I want you to tell me, and I want you to be very careful, Tyson, because, you know, I already got their story. I want you to tell me your version. By the way, you go to school in Iowa?
I don't go to school. I got my GED. I'm starting college in February.
Does anybody ever finish high school in your jurisdiction?
No.
No. All right. Tell me what you were doing standing on the side of the road and what was going on at the side of the road where these guys were cruising.
Me and some friends were just standing around.
Listen, you starting college next year?
Yeah. Some friends and I.
Yeah.
We're standing around talking, having fun, and then these two, they just keep on driving around mouthing and
Mouthing what?
just calling us names and
Like
running
what?
holes, stuff like that. The F word,
And how many times did they drive around?
probably 2 or 3.
Any of that sound familiar to you? Justin and Dustin?
No,
No,
ma'am.
because
Go ahead.
Then about the 3rd time they pulled around, we had a car, not a truck, stop them. And one of my friends told me, sticking up for one of my friends, one of them told me that they threatened to kill his baby before because he was going out with one of the girls at the time that they liked, and she had a baby. And he told me that
How old was this genius?
at 18.
Go ahead.
I was going to go up and say something to him. He rolled up the window real quick, got mad, kicked the car door.
You went up to the car because you were really mad because a friend of yours told you that somebody disrespected somebody.
Threatened
who
his family.
Threatened his baby.
Yeah.
So that you went up to the car to confront them, which was very
Wrong.
stupid.
Yeah.
And then he did the smart thing. He rolled up the window
Yes.
because he had been doing a very stupid thing, cruising around and calling people names and, you know, just being a general Tweedledum and Tweedledee, being two idiots, right?
Yes.
Because I expect the truth from you. I really expect the whole truth from you. From them, I didn't get the truth so far. All I got from them was they were just driving around being very mild young men because they suffer from a handicap, because they can't read, because they have a disability, because despite the fact that they go to school every day and try very, very hard to learn, they can't learn to read, right?
Yep.
So I expect the truth from you. Now, you went up to the car, and how many times did you kick the car?
Once.
And when you kicked the car once, did you break the window?
Yes.
What happened next?
I ran to a friend's car, got in the car, and left.
Did you at any time cut Dustin with a knife?
No, ma'am.
Were you ever charged with cutting him with a knife?
No, ma'am.
Anybody have a police report?
Your Honor, I went to get a police report, but they couldn't release it because he was a juvenile.
Nobody has a police report.
I couldn't get one.
Now, you were found guilty of whatever, of vandalizing the car, which you did kick
Burglary.
at least once. Burglary.
Yes.
Was this the first time you were convicted of anything, or have you been convicted of something before?
Had a possession of alcohol charge before and assault causing injury before.
Assaulting whom?
A kid is picking on my little sister.
And what did you do to him?
Put him in a headlock, slammed him into the locker.
Tyson, you got to learn to control yourself.
I
Do you
have.
understand that?
Yes.
Well, you haven't. At least you didn't on that evening because you went up to the car for no reason. This fight didn't concern you at all.
No.
And you went up there and kicked their car. Now, according to you, Justin, there were a lot of girls around there who were kicking your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you charge any of them?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was not going to get out of my car because there was too many of them, and I'm not going to get out of my car to hit a girl.
I didn't ask you why you didn't hit him. I asked you why you didn't tell the police that there were a lot of people there kicking your car, making dents in your car before he came
We did,
to the
I did,
car.
ma'am.
Did you have damage to your car?
Not by the girls.
How do you know that?
Because I live on a gravel road with and I had a lot of dust on my car, and there was no dents or anything.
So the only damage that was done to your car was him knocking the window out of your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
And
Okay.
when I was trying to get out of the car, I accidentally put my foot through, like, where my speaker was because my foot got caught.
What were you trying to get out of the car for?
Because I was going to run.
15 people around you and you were going to run? Or were you going to fight them?
I was going to run.
Have you ever been arrested before?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
Fighting.
There's no such crime in the penal law as fighting.
Assault.
There's assault in the penal law. And you?
Same thing.
Assault.
Yes.
How many times, Justin, have you been arrested for assault?
Numerous times.
And you, Dustin?
Same thing.
How many times have you been found guilty of assault?
Every
Many
time.
times.
Because I committed to him.
What do you mean you committed to him?
I said,
Plead guilty.
I told him that I did it. I didn't lie about it.
But you don't learn. Can I see the paperwork on the order of conviction for burglary and any other paperwork that you have with regard to a court order by a judge? Moms, you can stand up now. I want to see it. Tyson, how come you lied initially?
So I didn't want to get in trouble for it.
Who did you lie to, please?
My JCO,
What's JCO?
juvenile court officer.
And when you lied to the juvenile court officer initially, Tyson, did you lie to him the same kind of face that you're lying to me?
No.
I want you to show me your lying face.
Grin.
What?
I have a grin on my face when I lie.
Really? He believed you when you lied to him initially, right?
Yep.
It's just sometimes hard to figure out who's lying and who's not.
Yep.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Ah, right. Because the first time you spoke to your juvenile officer, you told me you didn't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. Well, after you had this problem in 1999, Tyson, you were expelled from school for another problem with another student. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Got a bad temper?
Yep.
Now I'd like to see the paperwork you have as a result of this incident.
I just got medical bills here.
So you didn't turn it into your insurance?
The hospital didn't turn it in, no.
I'm surprised. Why not?
That I have no idea. They didn't turn it in. The insurance cards was there, but they never turn it in.
Well, they will. They will. They should. And your boys are covered?
They're covered.
Now I'd like you to come up here, Dustin, because I want to take a look at your arm.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the scar?
Yeah, big one right there. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Tyson, I have to make a judgment whether or not you actually cut Dustin with a knife. And it is my belief that you did. Because when somebody is injured like that, and there's no question, I've read the hospital records, and there's no question he had a laceration, and there's no question that he had sutures. When that happens, you want the person who is responsible to be prosecuted. Now, you were, in fact, charged with assault with a weapon. The fact that you pled guilty to cover all the charges and the rest of the charges were dismissed doesn't mean that you were found not guilty of those charges. It means that you pled. It means that you pled out.
Plea bargain.
That's right. Look how smart you're getting. You also have a temper. Now, these two idiots were driving around, and their mother knows that they were driving around doing the wrong thing, right?
Well, yeah.
They were doing the wrong thing, but that doesn't give you license to take out even a pocket knife, which is what you took out, and cut him. It doesn't give you license to do that. You're lucky. You're lucky that they let you get away with it.
But I didn't stab him, ma'am.
Yes, you did. You stabbed him. You didn't stab him. You cut him. I mean, stabbing is this way.
His ex-girlfriend came up to me last week and apologized for lying to the cops about it.
Listen, you tell me who cut him.
Nobody did.
Sure they did. He was cut.
He cut himself.
How?
With a knife?
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
You think that he's dumb enough to do that? I mean, it's possible.
Yes, I do.
It's possible that he's dumb enough to do that. Possible. I don't think so. And the problem is that you put yourself in the situation by going over, getting involved in a situation that you had absolutely no reason to be involved with. Somebody said something made you mad. You went up to the car, kicked the car, knocked the window out. Stupid. The fact that you started it because you were looking for trouble, driving around, shouting out of the car, you were with your girlfriend, it was her birthday, your mother shouldn't have let you drive a car anyway. They don't go to school. You explain to me why they don't go to school.
They've been on add and subtract since they've been in second grade, and I'm tired of it. 95% of the kids in Iowa get their GED.
In any event, I find that you cut them. I also find that they're a little bit culpable themselves and that they had no out-of-pocket expenses with regard to this injury because The insurance is going to cover it. Now, did he pay for breaking the window?
No, I've got the estimate on.
Just tell me how much it was for breaking the window.
The window is at $189, but I've got pictures of other damages that was done to the car.
I don't care what the other damage was done to the car. There were 12 girls around the car that they chose not to identify because your son said, well, we live on a dirt road and the car was very dirty. He went up, he kicked the car, he kicked the window out of the car, and there were 12 other people involved. So it's $189 for the car and $1,000 for cutting him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,189.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 162 on the calendar in the matter of Troush versus Barton. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats,
All right, you
please.
two ladies used to be friends, neighbors, now you're enemies. Each one of you claimed that the other is harassing the other. You also, Ms. Troush, claimed that the defendant either stole or took your lawnmower. Ms. Barton says that in addition to the harassment, you filed a complaint against her, criminal complaint, which caused her name to be circulated in the paper, and were you arrested?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
She was arrested. It was embarrassing, and it was all done out of a vindictiveness. How long have you known each other?
For several years, Your Honor.
Before you became neighbors?
No, we had lived there, and then her and her husband and family moved in.
And you became friends?
Yes.
For years?
Yes.
So what caused the problem?
Well, I decided to break off the friendship.
Why?
She had done numerous things in the past that morally I didn't agree with, and it just led up to a point where one day when I walked up to her door, I heard her and her live-in friend Rita talking about me behind my back, and I just thought that was the last straw.
Okay. When was that?
Somewhere around November of last year.
Okay. Now, Ms. Barton, why do you think that this relationship went sour?
Okay, we were friends for a period of time, and then there was an incident with my neighbor where she called the police and told the police that my neighbor
Who's she?
Jeanette, had told the police that my neighbor had threatened to beat her up. The police came to my door. My daughter and my son were outside playing at the time. My daughter didn't hear him threaten her, and neither did I. I wasn't even outside. Well, the police came and they asked me if I had heard him threaten her. I told the officer, no, I did not, because I wasn't outside. She got upset with me. After the police left...
Well, how did she know that you had had that discussion with the police officer?
She was standing outside. We lived directly across from each other.
What did she say?
After the officer left, I went over there and I was talking to her, and she's like, don't talk to me, and I can't believe that you wouldn't stick up for me. We've been friends for so long. And I told her, Jeanette, I didn't hear him threaten you, and I wasn't going to lie to the officer. Well, your daughter was standing up.
When was that? Was that in November? Was that in November, Ms. Troush?
I don't know when it was, Your Honor. She's talking about my neighbor, Robert.
I have the police report.
Oh, let me see the police report. Maybe that'll give us...
I have also the newspaper I was in.
I don't need that yet. I'm trying to figure out when all this trouble started and why.
Okay,
and whether the court should be involved with it or you should take care of it yourselves.
By that same day, she accused him of loosening nuts on her car.
Okay, let me just see the date on it. Oh, well, you say it was November of 2001. This is October of 2001. So it came around the same time.
Yeah.
That's when you stopped being friends.
No,
now,
I don't even know, what she's talking about. I had called the police on that neighbor so many times for playing his music out in front.
Well, this was a nuts and bolts incident, madam, in October of 2001.
That same night, she put a sign in her window. She made up a sign, and it said, help me, someone is trying to kill me. It was there for 3 days. The co-ops that I live in made her take it down.
So then you became enemies. Now, you say that there's been a problem with a lawnmower and harassment. I'll hear you, Ms. Troush, and you have 60 seconds or less to tell me all about this childishness.
Okay. On March 14th, she was yelling out the window. When I got out of my car, she said the BIT filed a complaint against me. She encouraged people in her home to say things to me like, what a BIT. Again, on Saturday, April 13th, Maureen was yelling out the window to me as I walked from the car to the house, and that's what she usually starts yelling and cursing at me the minute I get out of the car and start walking to the house. And then Tuesday, May 21st, again, And then on Thursday, May 23rd, I just couldn't take it anymore because she said, you're going to be hurting. I'm going to get you. You're going to get yours. You can't watch your car 24 hours a day. You won't get away with filing a false police report.
And this was May?
And that was May 23rd.
Oh, okay.
And I have a police report and a witness. Another neighbor was outside and heard.
Okay. So she's saying not nice things to you.
Right.
You don't get compensated for that. Tell me about the lawnmower.
Well, what happened is right after May 23rd, and I had filed the complaint with the police, the very next weekend...
What did you file a complaint with the police about?
Because she said she's going to get me, and she's going to do something to our car. And
No. Listen to me.
Okay.
Don't make things up as you go along. You said that she said she was going to do something to you as a result of you filing a false police report about her.
Right.
When did you file the police report?
I didn't, and she didn't even know I didn't file a police report. I had called the police.
Okay.
I called the police.
When did you call the police?
I
What
called
date?
the police Tuesday, May 21st. Her and one of her friends was having a fight in our street, and they were yelling back and forth at each other, and it was really early in the morning, I think 2 a.m. And so I called the police, and somebody, the driver of the vehicle, threw a mug and broke it on our street and then peeled out of there. And that's why I had called the police. And that's what she was angry about.
Okay. What report did you make to the police? Can I see the police report? Because she must have it.
That is not true what she just said. This is what happened because the police came to my house. On the next page, it tells you what they found.
So you filed a police report. You made a complaint on the 21st of May. I want to hear about the lawnmower.
Okay. After I had made the complaint on May 23rd, the very next week, our lawnmower was stolen.
Yes?
And I'm just saying, it seemed pretty coincidental.
Okay. That's it? That's your side?
Well, there's more, Your Honor. I mean, Maureen knows that I'm a cancer patient and that I have a lot of stress already dealing with my cancer, but yet she continually goes outside and verbally just yells at me. She shouts at the top of her lungs all these bad things to me. Here's a statement from my neighbor.
I don't read statements from neighbors.
And my husband was there, and he heard her, and he knows how many times he's come home, and I've told him how she does this to me.
That's not nice. It doesn't come under the category of being actionable in court. She says not nice things to you. Courts don't get involved with that. And I certainly don't get involved with that.
We had our lug nuts loosened 3 times. So
you seem to have a lot of trouble with a lot of neighbors.
No, we don't.
Well, you had trouble with this neighbor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've lived in many neighborhoods and had a lot of neighbors. I have never called the police on a neighbor. Never.
And later today...
Why did you cause this damage to the apartment?
It wasn't intentional damage.
Yes, of course it was. Did somebody drug you?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeanette Trausch says neighbor Maureen Barton owes for a stolen lawnmower and for non-stop verbal assaults. Maureen says Jeanette had her falsely arrested.
Now, you said that you called the police on this neighbor several times for loud music, for touching your car, for lug nuts. I mean, that's all in here. So you seem to have problems with a lot of your neighbors.
Only them 2, and it's mostly
Just
Maureen.
a minute. The neighbor that you initially called a police report in on, where the police asked her about the alleged threats, was that this 21-year-old boy or a different neighbor?
It would have been Robert. Yeah.
Not a different neighbor?
No.
Okay.
Robert lives right next to Maureen.
Okay. All right, Ms. Barton, why don't you tell me about your counterclaim?
Okay, June 21st, I was sitting on my porch, and I was with my daughter and my son. Jeanette was getting out of her car with her husband. They were walking, because she lives directly across from me. Okay, as they were walking to their car, I had coughed. Well, Jeanette turned around and she looked at me and she said, "Why don't you shut up?" And I told her, "No, why don't you shut up and leave me alone?" That's when her husband, Joe, turned around and started flipping us the finger.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He was flipping the finger. Okay, they went into the house, and 2 days later, an officer came to my door, and my husband was home. I wasn't. They asked me to come in because they had to ask me some questions. So I went into the police department. I then proceeded to get arrested for a verbal assault that she had claimed that I made against her. She had told the officer that she had a witness that heard me say that I was going to beat her up, I was going to ruin her car, she was going to get hers, which I never made those statements, but she claimed I did. They arrested me. I went to court, and they dropped the charges in court. My name was published in the newspaper for this arrest, for everybody to see. I didn't do none of this stuff to her. And this is ongoing. It's every day. It's like she'll call the police, and if she doesn't get the results she wants, she goes for something bigger. And I just want this to stop.
Rana, I'd like to say the same thing. You know,
How many times has the defendant called the police with regard to your actions?
how many times has Maury called the police on me?
Yes.
Never, I don't think.
Never. How many times have you called the police with regard to her or any other neighbor? More than 5?
Definitely more than 5.
More than 10?
May I?
No, just answer my question. More than
Not
10?
More, I wouldn't say more than 10, Your Honor.
Would you say 10?
I'd say it's getting close to 10.
All right. How old are you?
35.
35. I am several decades your senior, and I've lived in many neighborhoods and had a lot of neighbors.
Sure.
I have never called the police on a neighbor. Never. Had some I liked, I have some I didn't like, I have some that played music loud, I have some that played music I didn't like loud. I'd never called the police on a neighbor.
I understand.
Well, if you want to live someplace and not be bothered by other people, and if you have certain physical problems and you want to live stress-free, go build a cabin in the country.
I understand that.
Listen to me. Go build a cabin where you have no other neighbors. Police have other things to do other than to respond to your, for want of a better word, mishigas, which means your craziness. You got to stop that. Harassment has as its core not somebody saying bad things to a former friend. And I believe her when she says that you were annoyed with her because you had made a complaint against this neighbor. The police came to her, asked her whether she could validate your complaint. She said no, and you got angry. That's exactly how this started. Now, you may have then heard conversations about you, which made you madder, but that's how this problem started. You don't get compensated for that. And this lawnmower baloney that you threw in here, you have no idea who stole your lawnmower a week later. None whatsoever. Why would you even accuse her of doing something when you have absolutely no proof? None. Did you file a formal complaint against her or anyone of her family with regard to the lawnmower?
I did make a report about it, and I did.
You made a report about it. In the police report, did you say that you think you knew who took your lawnmower?
I said it could have been a possibility.
What could have been a possibility?
That my neighbor Maureen, because we were having problems.
That's your problem. You get nothing. However, I believe that filing these charges which caused her arrest were vindictive. And it caused her name to be published in the paper. And it caused an arrest. How many times have you been arrested, Miss Barton? How many times
Twice.
altogether? Twice. For this and what else?
Prior, there was a dispute. It was me and my husband. It was my husband, but then they dropped the charges, and he's the one that...
It was a domestic dispute between you and your husband. Other than the domestic dispute between you and your husband, have you ever been arrested for anything else?
No.
So it's embarrassing. You have children? Judgment on the counterclaim for the defendant in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties
Claim
are
is
excused.
dismissed.
You may step out.
We did so many favors for her, and she just used us until she couldn't use us anymore.
Judge Judy saw through the lies. She saw what was really going on, and it spoke for itself.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson, Sullivan versus Schultz. Step forward, please.
20-year-old students Jamie Johnson and Jackie Sullivan are suing their former roommate, 21-year-old Melissa Schultz, for damages to their apartment caused by her boyfriend.
Ms. Johnson, you and Ms. Sullivan rented an apartment together with the defendant, and it is your claim that her boyfriend, I assume this is the boyfriend, has a bad temper and caused some damage to the apartment, holes in the walls, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you believe that she should be responsible for that you should not be responsible to the landlord for paying for the damage that her boyfriend caused.
That's right.
Just tell me what damage you allege that he caused.
He punched a hole in Melissa's bedroom wall.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
What else?
He tried to break down the bedroom door and, in doing so, caused damage through the door, like cracked the door.
Did you do that?
That was also done, yes.
What else?
And he proceeded into the kitchen and kicked in the kitchen cupboard door.
Did you do that?
I kicked it. It wasn't...
You kicked it?
Yes.
It's up to you. That's all they have to say.
All right, I've actually already paid for these damages.
Show me.
All right. Here's my security deposit check for $300 that I gave originally to the landlord.
Yeah.
And then I did receive some money back. However, I did take the damages out of my $300 then.
So how much did you get in total back from your security deposit?
$119.
Okay.
Here's
Now,
the sheet that shows that.
let me just see. How long did you live in the apartment?
For 2 months.
That's how all of the damages apartment was split up, all our security deposits.
So it came out of all your security deposits? Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't pay for this.
I have the receipt.
There are other things here.
Correct. Other damages that they did to their bedrooms. If they didn't want to pay for the damages I did, why would I pay for
You
damages
didn't
they
do the
did?
damage. He did the damage.
He paid me for those damages that came out of the security deposit.
No, no, it doesn't come out of the security deposit. Let me explain something to you. You rent an apartment. There is ordinary wear and tear on an apartment, and there are things that the landlord always finds. It needs a little more paint. The carpet is stained here. It has to be clean. Little things. Security deposit is not intended for someone kicking holes in the walls. That's not what it's intended for. So the three of you moved into an apartment together. There are damages caused by the three of you, which you, as lessees, agreed to take care of jointly, not anticipating his damage. He's not on the lease.
No.
He doesn't belong there.
I also have pictures of the damages.
I don't need pictures of the damage. He acknowledges that he did the damage. And he should have paid for the damage.
The damages he did were only $238.
You are responsible, however, madam, for a portion of the rest of the bills.
I only lived there for 2 months. If someone else was living there in my place, I feel that person should be responsible then for the cleaning costs.
When did you move in and did you sign a lease?
I signed the lease in April, and I moved...
When did you move out?
I moved out in October, but I only lived there September and October.
I have a copy of
care.
the lease, Your Honor.
But you moved out when?
If you'd like to see.
At the beginning of November.
Okay. And you still had a lease?
Correct, and I did continue to pay rent until someone else moved in to take
Then
over
you have
that
to
rent
pay
payment.
portion of the utilities as well. Some of that money you should not have gotten back because they ended up paying a piece of the damage that he caused. Why did you cause... Stand up. Why did you cause this damage to the apartment?
It wasn't intentional damage.
Yes,
to
of
the
course it
apartment.
was. Did somebody drug you?
No.
You just had a bad temper.
I wouldn't say I have a bad temper.
Well, what is it when you punch a hole in a wall, kick in a cabinet, kick in a door? What is that?
Yeah, but they weren't all intended damages. It's not
we
like
all
I
felt
meant to.
unsafe after
What do you mean they weren't intended damages? I don't understand that.
Well, I didn't intend to put a hole in the wall or.
What did you intend to do?
Nothing.
What did you intend to do?
I was angry. I was upset.
Angry at whom?
I don't really remember.
You weren't angry with me.
No.
You weren't angry at Bird.
No.
You were angry at her.
No.
You were angry at her.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So instead of hitting her, you hit the wall. Is that a fair statement?
I guess, yes.
Huh? Are you still together?
Yes.
Big mistake. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $178.75. That's all.
All is not excused. You may step out. Judge, this is case number 378 on the calendar in the matter of Stelly versus Willow. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Stelly, you and the defendant had a long relationship, I gather from your papers, and you have a 9-year-old child together, correct?
Yes.
Boy or a girl? Boy. A nice round number, about $5,000.
Yes, she does.
A nice round number, about $5,000.
Yes, she does.
You want to explain why?
Yes, I've loaned Miss Wills several $1,000s for different things. Repairing her automobile, loan for a down payment on a house, a loan for a car, which I took title in collateral. Miss Wills has promised to pay me back for these loans, and she has failed to do so.
Let's take the loans specifically, sir.
Okay.
Loan number one.
Loan number one was for a transmission for a Chevy Blazer that Miss Kathleen Willows owns.
And how much was that loan?
That loan was in the amount of $1332.18. Here's the check.
Okay, so let's do this one at a time. First of all, how long have you been apart? Long time?
About 5 years.
Okay, and how long did you actually live together?
About 3.
Did he give you money?
He paid the repair guys to fix the transmission.
And was there an agreement that...
He paid the repair guys to fix the transmission.
And was there an agreement that... Time?
You might call it that, yes.
Time?
You might call it that, yes.
Okay, what's this next alleged loan for, sir?
Okay, that was for $6,000 for a Pontiac Grand Am.
All right, now this was in 1994, so you were separated at the time. You were no longer living together. She acknowledges that you made a loan to her to buy this car, correct?
Correct.
Am I right?
Well, to purchase the car, yes.
What did I say?
Yeah, I said yes. I'm sorry.
Now, how much of the $6,000 did you pay him back?
Well, the first year and a half that I had the car, I was taking care of my ailing father. I was out of work, and I didn't give David any money toward the vehicle. Then a year and a half later, I finally got enough money together to move out. When I was moving, David said, "You can't take the car. That's my car." I said, "David, I need that car. I'd just gotten a job, and I needed the car." And I said, "I can pay you $50 a month." And here's a history of the payments that I made to him. For a year and a half, I made $50 a month payments.
What's the total?
I think it totaled $550.
So on a $6,000 loan, let us assume that you paid him $550. Then, Mr. Stelly, you repossessed the car.
Yes, I did. I repossessed the car because she was failing to keep a steady payment, and I felt that she should be paying me more money to pay off this loan fast, because Miss Willow has now entered into a new relationship, and I don't want to be financially responsible for her anymore.
Okay. It is clear to me that you had an
I'm financially
arrangement.
responsible for my son, but I'm not going to be financially responsible for her.
Mr. Stelly, listen to me carefully, sir. $550, assuming that's what she paid you in $50 increments. And you acknowledge that she made some payments to you, right?
Yes.
But then you repossessed the car.
For lack
What
of payment.
did you do with the car?
What did I do with the car?
That was my question.
I have done nothing with it. I have offered the car back to Miss Willow, and she wanted to make a more reasonable payment.
No, you have the car.
I know I have the car, but I have offered the car back to Miss Willow so that she can make a more reasonable payment to me, so that she could continue to have a vehicle. I did not take this vehicle to be mean or anything. I took the vehicle so Miss Willow could sit there and see that I am not pussyfooting around anymore, that I would like to have a payment so she could be out of debt to me.
Mr. Stelly, she doesn't want the car anymore. According to her answer, she went out and she bought another car.
Yes,
Is that
she
right?
did.
That's true.
So now you have the car, sir.
Yes, I do.
So what you have to do, Mr.
Okay,
Stelly,
right here is
sell the car. It's in your name.
Right here is our quotes for Kelly Blue Book on the value of the car is. I'm asking the court for the difference between the two.
Well, let me see the Blue Books.
Okay, there's one in here for good.
I have Kelly Blue Book, too.
Let me take a look.
And the car's in good to excellent condition,
Let me take a
Your
look.
The car is in good to fair condition, Your Honor.
She's got good to excellent. Here.
I got those quotes from off the internet.
Well, you have to believe the internet, right? Okay. What year is this car?
It's an 89.
And you have the sedan?
4-door.
four-door sedan, right? Okay. Wholesale is $28.50. Suggested retail is $5,000. Okay. Return that to her. And you have, sir, on your page is the trade-in value in good shape.
Yes, that's
Is
what
20
I consider. That's what I consider the car to be in. I have a videotape of the vehicle showing the conditions of the tires, which are all basically all four of them are bald.
Sir,
it's missing a
you
muffler.
have trade.
It's missing a muffler.
Trade-in value, sir. Trade-in value is.
That's what I got off the internet. Okay. Thank you. I'll be.
Your Honor,
Yeah.
I have maintenance records and repair receipts on the car to
Whatever.
show
The
that
car
I
is
took care
at
of
least
the car.
the car is at least worth $3,000.
Yes, I agree to that.
At least $3,000, and she has paid you $550. So that's $3,550, leaving $2,450 after you sell it, right?
That's if I get that.
Well, how am I supposed to know, sir? I mean, you come to court. It's your responsibility
That's right. It
to
is
come.
my
It's your
responsibility. That's why I got this tape right here that shows you the condition the car
I'm not
is
interested in
in.
seeing your tape, sir. I'm going to tell you why. Because if you had sold the car and you came to court and you said, this is what I got for the car in an arm's length transaction, I put an ad in the paper, this is what I sold it for, then I would know. Right now, I am speculating because of the posture of this case.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is what they're trying to sell their cars for.
I don't care. You brought me the papers. I don't care what other people are doing. How do I know you didn't put those ads in the paper?
And later today,
I tried to tell him not to eat it, and he ate it anyways. He was drunk.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Stelly wants the mother of his child, Kathy Willows, to pay for a car he repossessed.
Okay. What else?
I have other loans.
Like what?
Like the down payment on a house.
This is ridiculous.
This check right here is for $15,000.
Sir,
no.
Sir, you're in the, listen to me, sir. You're in the wrong court.
No,
if she owes you $15,000, then you're in the wrong court.
She paid me back $9,000 of it.
Sir, you're in the wrong court. That's still $6,000. Go ahead, give me the next one.
You know, Your Honor, I have given this woman thousands of dollars. I have let her live in my house. Lived in my house.
With our son.
With my son.
No.
And her son. Okay.
What else?
These are two clips out of the auto section that people are trying to sell their Pontiac Grand M's, and this is what they're trying to sell their cars for.
I don't care. You brought me the papers. You brought me the papers. You brought me the papers. I don't care what other people are doing. How do I know you didn't put those ads in the paper? You brought me the papers. I'm using your figures.
Okay.
Fair condition.
Why don't we get your paper?
I'm using your paper, sir. The papers that you gave me.
Yeah, okay, from off the internet.
I couldn't live with you 2 minutes. Anything else you want to tell me?
I just want the money that this woman has promised to repay me.
Let me explain something to you, sir. From me, against her, you are going to be awarded $2,450. She has already given you $550. Now, you are going to sell the car, and based upon your figures, you're going to get $3,000 for the car. I mean, am I missing something?
No, you're not missing anything. Okay, you're saying I can and probably will sell the car for $3,000.
You want me to dismiss your lawsuit, Mr. Stelly,
No.
and wait until it's without prejudice? You can leave.
No.
Go out and sell the car, and then come back. Is that what you'd like me to do?
No.
Be more than happy to do that.
No, I would like to get this thing settled so we close this chapter of our lives.
Good. So then I'm awarding you, sir, $2,450.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Why is that excuse? You may step out.
And now the next case.
Party's on. Milner versus Dutter. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Flora Milner is suing her former landlord, Francis Dutter, 44, for return of personal belongings. Ms. Dutter says Flora will get them back when she reimburses her for utility bills and a dead fish.
Ms. Milner, according to your complaint, you rented a room from the defendant in her home. And you moved into her home with your baby, who was 18 months old. Is that right?
Yes.
And that lasted only several months. You moved out. She kept some of your things. You want your things back.
That's right.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
She says that you owe her money, and that when you pay her the money, you can get your things back. Is that this case?
Correct.
Ms. Milner, what month did you move into the house?
December.
And what was the rent arrangement?
We had a verbal agreement of $250 plus I'd pay my phone bill.
Is that right?
Correct.
And you had no written lease?
No. No.
And you lived in the house until, according to this, the month of June.
That's right.
Something happened in the month just prior to that. You wanted to move out. Did you pay your rent for the month of June?
I did.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And you moved out before July 1st?
That's correct.
Now, she's not suing for anything other than her property back.
That's right.
And you say you have her property.
Correct.
So you tell me, what money do you say she owes you?
She owes me for 2 months that she had her stuff in the room, storage fees.
Just a second. Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on a second. Say she owes you $500 for July and August rent.
Correct.
Well, she wasn't living there in July and August.
Correct.
So why does she owe you for July and August rent?
She gave me no notice. We had made an agreement, at least give me 2 months, at least give me a month's notice. I gave her 2 months to please, if that, to be out by that time, but give me notice of some kind because I rented the room to her.
She's not required to give you any notice, madam. You don't have a rental agreement with her. She doesn't have to give you any notice. She paid her rent through June. So let's get rid of July and August rent.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It was a goldfish that he ate.
How big a goldfish?
It was yay big.
A big goldfish.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Flora Milner says former landlord Francis Dutter won't return her personal belongings. Francis says Flora still owes her money for bills and a dead fish.
Now, phone bills, June and July.
Correct.
She wasn't there in July.
She didn't pay me for July.
She wasn't there in July. How could you have a phone bill for July?
It carries on through.
Well, I want to know what her June phone bill was.
It runs anywhere from $20 to $25 a month.
How much do you owe for the phone?
It was $14 for 2 months that I owed her when I had moved out.
And let's say you owed her another $20 that she got in her next month's bill. That's $34. Now, the electrical connection fee, water deposit from when she moved in, what is that?
We pay the first-time turn-on fee, and then I also paid the water to be turned on plus an extra $15 to be turned on the next day.
You say here that you had to put down the deposit for the gas and electric when you moved into the house because there was no gas and electric in the house for 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Not the gas, just the light and the water.
The light and the water.
I put the deposits down. I have the statement from them.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, you may.
So if I gather correctly, you are suing her for the cost of reconnecting when she canceled the accounts, when she moved out. Am I correct?
Yes.
Well, you can't get that. So far what she owes you is $34. Okay, and this says you have a $40 credit. All right. And when the bill was closed, there is now a credit of 40 cents, which means that there were $40 taken out for utilities. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Well, that's what this clearly says, from light and water. All right. So now let's get to this reimbursement for a dead fish. What's that about?
Well, when I was out of town, I drove over to Colorado with my daughter, and I asked Flora, please do not have a party at my house. And then when I was over there, she had called me and said that a fish had died. So I took it as she told me a cat got the fish. Well, 2 or 3 weeks later after that, she had admitted to my son that because his friends were saying, people were saying, hey, you got to about it. Well, Flora threw a big party, and the kids were intoxicated, and one of them about it. Well, Flora threw a big party, and the kids were intoxicated, and one of them bit the head off of a live fish.
Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And this was when you had a party there?
I had about 15 people there.
And somebody acted like an idiot?
Yeah.
One of your friends?
No, it was her son's friend.
Her son's friend?
Yes.
Who was it?
It was her son's friend, Kenny.
How old is her son?
Her son's 19.
And how old is this Kenny?
19.
So Kenny was the one who bit the fish?
Yes, he did.
In half? Do you know Kenny's last name?
No, I do not.
Do you know Kenny's
No, I
last
don't.
name? Ask your son.
Okay.
Good. Now, so what I have is that she owes you $34 for a phone bill, and based upon what I saw from the power company, you probably owe her for a power and light bill that she paid that she was not supposed to pay, that was taken out of her $40 deposit. So that comes out to about a wash. Therefore, I don't believe that there was any reason for you to retain her property, and you have to return it. She doesn't have to pay you for July and August. Your son's friend bit the head off a fish.
He should have never been invited.
Well, your son is over 18, is he not? Your son is over 18, is he
Ma'am,
not?
she should have never had that party there.
That
That's
may
our
be
request.
correct.
So I feel it's her responsibility because she allowed them to come into my home when I was out of town.
Was your son living there?
Ma'am, he was at Camp Pendleton.
He was there that weekend.
No,
when
he
you were...
was not.
He was there that evening.
He was not. He was in Camp Pendleton.
Just a second. Was her son
No, her
there?
son wasn't there.
Her son wasn't there?
No, he wasn't there.
So how did Kenny get to this party?
I invited him.
Then you pay.
Okay.
For the fish.
All right.
Then you pay for the fish. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought your son was at home.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How much did this fish cost?
Well, it was a purchase. He had it for 4 years. It was purchased at $25. Here's the fish, and they go by the size.
No, that wasn't the fish.
Oh, that wasn't the fish.
It was a goldfish. It was a goldfish.
There was 2 of them that had died.
It was a goldfish that he ate.
How big a goldfish?
It was yay big.
A big goldfish.
And I offered her, when I went to retrieve my property, I offered her a koi fish from my dad's pond.
She's lying. She is lying.
Whatever. He bought the fish, you say, for $25. So right now she owes you $25. You have to return her property, madam.
Oh, yeah, that's no problem.
Good. And you owe her $25 for the fish.
Okay.
You got it?
All right.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Parties on Tracy versus Jackson. Step forward, please.
Kathy Tracy says when her boyfriend, 23-year-old Steve Jackson, caught her at her ex-boyfriend's house, he destroyed her property. Now she's taking him to court to recover the damages.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Sir. Judge, this is number 191 on the calendar in the matter of Tracy versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss Tracy, your complaint reads like a short novel. But let me see if I understand it. This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
And then you broke up. Is that right?
Yes.
When you broke up with this gentleman, your name is Steve?
Yes, that's right.
You became involved with someone by the name of?
Greg Schwartz.
Greg. Then you moved in with Greg and that didn't work out. Correct?
Correct.
Then you got back together with?
Steve.
Steve. Mm-hmm. And moved some of your furniture into his apartment.
Correct.
Pick it up from there.
I moved my furniture into his house because I needed a place to store it. Steve offered his house to store it with no problem. So I...
Well, just a second. You not only moved your furniture into the house, am I correct that you moved yourself into the house?
No, I did not.
Just your furniture?
Correct.
So you didn't stay at his house at all?
I did stay at his house, but not permanently. I used his house for storage of my furniture. I lived with my grandparents at their home.
Okay. So you weren't dating him at that point when you moved your furniture back into the house?
Yes, I did. Yes, we were.
So you were. You had renewed your relationship with him?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I moved my things into his house because he said it was okay. It was only a temporary situation until I decided to move back out again and take my things. And after spending a few months with him, we both realized that our relationship wasn't working out, and I broke it off with him. He became upset and angry and destroyed my furniture and belongings.
What furniture did he destroy, Tracy?
I have estimates and pictures.
Just tell me.
My couches, my bed, my VCR. I brought my VCR here for you to see. My comforter, my lamps. There's a garage door involved here, but that's later. My dining room table and my patio furniture. And
okay, did you get any of your things back?
Yes, I recovered damaged property as well as what wasn't damaged.
What wasn't damaged?
My desk, and I would have to say that's about it.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
Now, I read your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct, sir, that you do not deny destroying this furniture?
That's correct.
Okay, let's start with why you destroyed it.
Okay, the first thing why is because we didn't, she did not call it off. What actually happened was I found out that she was doing something behind my back with the same gentleman that we moved the furniture out of his house.
So you found out, according to you, that the plaintiff, Miss Tracy, was seeing Mr. Schwartz again.
That's right.
And that made you?
Upset, angry. That happened in June of '97. It was found out on June 20th. Confronted her about it. She lied time and time again, even though I knew that I saw her car at his house. I left a note on her car. I'm sure she didn't bring that with her today.
So you found her car in front of his house. What were you doing in front of his house?
Driving by to work.
You didn't have to go out of your way in order to do
not
that?
At all.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I have to...
Just a second. I'll get back to you. So you left a note on her car?
Right.
Saying that caught you, something like that?
Basically.
All right. But that wasn't enough. Then you got very angry.
No, actually after that, I confronted her about it. After a couple days of lying to me, she finally admitted it. And then we were still talking with each other about it. I can't really say if we were together or not. And about a month after that, I was just upset one night and got sick of seeing the stuff that she gave me at my house. Had the dining room table in my dining area and got upset and just didn't want it anymore. And that's why I destroyed it. I did not want to see it anymore. I didn't want it in my house anymore. I didn't want to have anything to do with her anymore.
Tell me how you destroyed it.
Some of the chairs that were broken were kind of already broken because they were, like, if you step on the chair or if you rest your foot on one of the wooden rests.
I mean, did you pick up the furniture and fling it and hit it? All right, so you destroyed it.
Yeah.
Wasn't just the dining room table and
It was
chairs.
a dining room table and chairs, a couch.
How did you destroy the couch?
Threw it off my balcony. Because it was up in my bedroom, because she gave me some of the furniture.
We'll get to the giving because that's your defense to this action. You say she gave you all this furniture.
Right.
And therefore it was yours to destroy. Tell me how she gave you the furniture, Mr. Jackson.
In March, the middle of March of this year, '97, we were together. She came over to my house one day, found out that her ex-boyfriend was cheating on her.
This same Mr. Schwartz.
Found out he was cheating on her, got really mad, decided to go to his condo where she had her furniture, and I offered to help move the stuff out along with two of my roommates, who we all have trucks, so we decided to go over there. And one day we moved all the stuff out of the garage, out of the townhouse. And I asked her, where do you want to put this? She said, well, I don't even want this stuff. Why don't you want it? It reminds me of him. And I go, well, if you don't want it, then, what are you going to do with it? She said, do you want to take it? I go, I don't want all this stuff. Had couches, a table, lamp, and some personal items, kitchenware and a mattress, Christmas ornaments. Like, I don't want all this stuff. But the stuff that I can use, fine, I'll take. Dining room table, a couple couches, a lamp, and that's it. Everything else went in my garage.
What about the VCR over there that's got a big dent in it?
That was not for me. I don't know how she can justify me doing that. She had the VCR. She had it in my house, but I did not touch her VCR.
You mean when you were destroying all the other stuff, you didn't just happen one of the couches or the dining room table and chairs or something didn't plop itself on that VCR?
I didn't walk into the closet and look for a VCR just to destroy. She didn't have her stuff out in my house. She had
I
a certain
understand that.
couple
Somebody
things.
destroyed that.
I don't know who.
You were in a rage. Is that a fair statement,
That could be
sir?
a good statement, yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He couldn't handle the fact that I didn't want to be with him anymore. And he was drunk. But, I mean, it's apparent that he has a drinking problem.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Steve Jackson admits he flew into a rage when he found out his girlfriend, Kathy Tracy, was spending time with her ex-boyfriend. But he says the property he destroyed belonged to him, and Tracy has no grounds for this lawsuit.
Mr. Jackson, I find it difficult. She says that she just stored her stuff at your house while she was looking for another place. I don't think that you develop a sentimental attachment for furniture that reminds you of another boyfriend. That doesn't make sense. Common sense suggests to me that a couch is a couch, and a dining room table and chairs is a dining room table and chairs. And just because an old boyfriend ate off of it or sat on it doesn't mean that you don't want to look at it anymore, sir. Because if she was dating you again, she was still going to look at the furniture, right? If it was in your house. And she was going to be looking at the same furniture that Schwartz sat on and ate off of. So why would she say, I don't want to look at it anymore, and then put it in a place where she have to look at it every single day?
She said she didn't want it anymore.
You mean
said,
she
"I do not
didn't
want
want
this
to
stuff."
possess it anymore? But
I'm just telling you what she said. When we moved it into my house, she said, I do not want this stuff.
Your Honor.
I
That
have
sounds
witnesses.
like nonsense. Yeah. Do I have any witnesses here?
Yes.
There are a
You
lot
do.
of people on either side, but important witnesses. I don't want any nonsense witnesses because it's a busy day.
Can I?
Yeah?
Yes. Good.
Step up here. State your name.
My name's Chris.
Chris, you have a last name.
Chris Delacroce.
Okay.
I helped him move out the furniture out of Schwartz's house.
Yes.
Okay. It was my understanding that she didn't want it because it reminded her
I don't want to know what
of
your
him.
understanding was. Your understanding is relevant to you. It's not particularly relevant to me. I want to know what you saw and heard.
I saw her furniture move into our house.
And what did you hear her say, if anything? Right here. Nothing.
Nothing right to me. No.
Good. Did you hear her say? Did you hear her say anything to anyone else?
No.
Good. Sit. You have any other important witnesses for me to hear, Steve?
No.
Perfect. Do you have any witnesses you wish to meet? Yes. Important ones.
Yes, I do. I have Steve's former roommate who lived in the house with him before my furniture was moved in there, while it was moved in there, and after it was destroyed, and I took what was remaining of it.
Step up here. State your name, please.
Vanessa Williams.
Miss Williams, did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Jackson about the furniture?
Mm-hmm.
Means a yes or a no?
Yes, I did.
When did you have that conversation about the furniture?
The night after it happened.
The night after it was destroyed?
Mm-hmm.
And? No. Was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay. And what did he say to you?
He said that he asked me that he said that he felt bad that he did this, and he asked me if he should reimburse her for this. And I told him whatever he wants to do. I didn't really want to get involved at the time.
Were you his girlfriend at the time?
No.
You just was staying there with him?
Platonic roommate.
I rented a room from him.
So he asked you whether he should reimburse her?
Right.
Mr. Jackson, a couple of other questions I have for you. Why don't you sit down, Ms. Williams? Thank you. Did you have any of your own stuff in the apartment?
My house?
Yeah, in your house.
Yes, I did.
To destroy your own stuff?
No.
So you had selective rage. Right?
That's correct.
Your selective rage, Mr. Jackson, is going to cost you. Can I have a list of items that
Yes, there's
that were
pictures,
destroyed?
estimates.
Thank you. Good.
And, Your Honor, I also wanted to state when I filed this complaint, I made it for $5,000, but I didn't exactly total it up. It doesn't quite come up to $5,000, and I put the price difference that I came up with.
Well, what is it?
$3,939.52, I believe.
Is that what all of these things cost you?
Actually, I took estimates only because the places where I bought this furniture either are not in business anymore, so I got the closest estimate to my furniture that I had.
Well, was this almost $4,000 more expensive or less expensive than what you actually paid for the furniture?
That is about the approximate price range of
Not
furniture.
price range. I want to know what you actually paid for the furniture.
To be exact?
Yeah, to be exact.
About
Because I have the bills here.
$3,200, but there's something else included into that that I did not buy. That's the garage door that he broke.
Well, you didn't have a garage.
Where I was staying the night that he destroyed my furniture.
You mean at Schwartz's house?
Correct.
Let Schwartz sue him, unless you paid Schwartz for the garage door.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to pay for it.
No, you won't. You don't have to pay for it because he broke it. Let Schwartz sue him. How much was the garage door?
$620.
Okay, so we're down to $3,200. You just bought this furniture, looks like.
Well, it's on hold.
What do you mean it's on hold?
It's an estimate. They wouldn't...
Miss Tracy.
Yes?
How old was the furniture that was there?
Less than 2 years old, and it was brand new. I kept it in perfect condition. That furniture was, I mean, I cherished that. And I took very good care. It was immaculate. It was brand new. There was nothing wrong with anything.
All right, now let me take a look at this furniture, what it looks like. There are 2 sofas. Did you throw both sofas out?
No.
Where's the other
There was
one?
nothing wrong with the other sofa. She moved it out later on. There's nothing wrong with it.
Your Honor,
Was
he
there anything wrong with
urinated on it. He slashed it up, but he didn't throw it over his balcony because it was too big.
No, that is absolutely not true.
Let's not talk about slashing it. Did you do anything else to it?
No, that is not true. I did not urinate on her couch.
Well, that's
Did you let anybody else do it?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He does not have any ambition in life except to sit on the couch and drink beer and watch the football game.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Tracy is in court with her ex-boyfriend, Steve Jackson, because she claims he destroyed her property in a jealous rage.
Mr. Jackson, you slash up her mattress?
No.
No?
I did not.
It's all slashed.
I didn't slash her mattress. What I did was destroy the dining room table, the chairs, the lamp, and the couch.
That is not true.
Well, who destroyed this?
I don't know. She's had the furniture ever since July, the middle of July.
Well,
and then 1 month later, she comes in and...
Miss Tracy?
Yes.
When did you get the mattress back?
I got the mattress back when I moved all the furniture. The night was July 17th, is when he destroyed all of my furniture at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right, okay.
I picked up my furniture that day, that afternoon. He let me come and recover the damaged
Are you
property.
telling me that you took out this damaged mattress?
Yes.
Why did you take out the damaged mattress?
To use it as evidence, because I was obviously going to take him to court over this.
Who helped move out the furniture?
I had 2 movers helping me.
Show this to him, please. Did you? Mr. Jackson, I want you to look at that very carefully, sir.
No, I did not do that. That's not my place. She's had the mattresses ever since the middle of July and not touched that. Now I can turn to the pictures of the couch and the table. Can I look through this?
The couch isn't in there.
I see a picture of a garage door opener.
I'm not interested in the
A
garage door
mattress.
opener. That's
well,
another
I don't
lawsuit.
see how she can justify $3,200.
Just a second. I asked you about the mattress. Did you do that to the mattress?
No, I didn't. I did not touch her mattress.
This keeps getting better.
Who are you?
I'm Danielle Crockett.
How do you know her?
I've been her best friend for about 4 years.
Your best friend. Did you see the furniture when it came back to her house
No,
after she moved it out? Did you? Who were you?
I'm Nicole Halterman. Not that day. Actually, I had gone to Steve's house that night because I'm friends with his roommate, Vanessa. And I saw the furniture damaged.
Did you see the mattress?
Not the mattress, but everything else.
She'd already taken the mattress out of the house.
She took the mattress and the couches, but she left the table because it was in too many pieces to take. The patio furniture was in too many pieces to take, and the lamps. I saw those in his backyard. Looked like they had been thrown over the balcony.
Okay, but the mattress she had taken, she didn't take any of the property that was destroyed, is that right?
Well, the table was in, like, toothpicks.
Just answer my question. Okay. She didn't take any of the property that was destroyed. She left all the badly damaged property there. Is that what you're saying to me?
She took, like, the VCR and the mattresses, all the other stuff that was destroyed.
Just a second. Did you see her take the mattress out?
No, because I was at work when she
So
did
you
that.
don't know whether the mattress was destroyed or not?
Well, Steve had admitted to me that he had destroyed it.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
That night when I was at his house, he said that he felt really bad that he did it.
Did what?
Destroyed the couches, the mattresses, the table.
He said the mattresses?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. Well, he mentioned the mattresses, the table. He mentioned everything.
Okay. Good.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Mr. Jackson, when you have a fit of temper, you have to pay. Understand? I assume that that's the comforter. Is that
Yes.
what that's doing
Yes.
here?
Would you like to see
All
it?
right. I just assumed that that's what it
Your
was.
Honor.
Not part of the new decor in the courtroom. When you have a fit of temper, you have to pay. And your story is a lot of who shot John with regard to her giving you the furniture that she gave you because she didn't want to look at it anymore because it had an emotional attachment to Mr. Schwartz. So it's going to cost you. It's not going to cost you in this lawsuit the garage door, because I don't want to hear about that. If you damaged Mr. Schwartz's garage door, he'll take that up with you at some other time. Ms. Tracy, I am awarding you $3,000 to replace the furniture. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your
Parties
Honor.
are excused. You may step out. I'll back over to you, Ray, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And 11-year-old Deborah Sena is suing 39-year-old Debbie McLean. Deborah charges that Ms. McLean failed to honor an agreement to enter her daughter Christina in a beauty pageant. Debbie McLean says there was no arrangement. The money was for a sponsorship.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is case number 237 on the calendar in the matter of Sena versus McLean. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Let me see if I understand this complaint. Miss Sena, you have a young daughter.
Yes, I do.
This is your daughter, Miss McLean.
Yes, ma'am.
Your daughter had been involved in modeling as a younger child, and probably even today. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, Miss Sena, don't look at your papers. Look at me. According to your complaint, you two ladies became acquainted. You were approached by the defendant, asked if you would like to sponsor her daughter in an upcoming beauty pageant. Is that right?
Yes.
And what was the sponsorship cost?
Well, I guess the sponsorship was, I asked her. She said $185.
So that's what it cost to
Yes, ma'am.
sponsor. And what else did she say to you?
That she would put my daughter in a beauty pageant that she was running, that she was having, and she would be able to get my daughter into another beauty pageant if she was to get into this first one, which was at the Fallbrook Community Center.
So according to you, you had an agreement with her that if you sponsored her daughter at the cost of $185, she would make sure that your daughter would be in a beauty pageant.
Yes.
And that's why you sponsored her.
Yes.
And you say...
And I say, yes, she did sponsor my daughter. My daughter had gone to her. She was babysitting for her at the time. And she sponsored my daughter to be in a beauty pageant. My daughter did go into the beauty pageant. She won the beauty pageant. At about 2 months later,
I did tell her I was going to have a preliminary pageant for another state pageant, and that I would in turn let her daughter go into the pageant at no cost. But at the time my daughter had won this one, we didn't even know we were going to have a beauty pageant. At the time I was supposed to have the beauty pageant, I didn't have it. My mother's mother, my grandmother, had died, and I couldn't have the pageant, and I had to go to Kentucky for the funeral, so I didn't.
So there was never another pageant which this lovely little girl in purple could participate.
Deborah Senna had called me quite a few times and said that once she found out I was not going to have the Fallbrook pageant, said that I promised her. I said, I told you your daughter could be at a pageant at no cost, and I told her that I would just put her daughter in the state pageant with no.
So there was some sort of an understanding that her daughter was going to be in a beauty pageant with your assistance.
Not at the time of her sponsorship. That was a gift. That was a gift to Casey. It was 2 months later. I told her I would, since she did sponsor Casey, I would put her daughter in a pageant. But that was not a stipulation.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I want to know at the time that you. By the way, I assume you have proof of this $185.
Yes,
you have a cancel check?
Yes.
Well, then could you tell me why you're suing her for $300 and some odd dollars?
Well, $185 was for the check, and then $100 for my daughter, and
$100 for your daughter.
Start. Clapping, 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 clapping. Good. Good.